Good afternoon and welcome to Football League World TV. My name is Ned Holmes and today I'm joined by Ipswich fan Henry from Phoenix Talks 07 on Twitter to discuss what we can expect from the Tractor Boys this season. How are you doing this afternoon, Henry?
Good, mate. Thanks for having me on again. Good to be here.
Absolutely. Well, obviously the start of the EFL season fast approaching. Championship gets underway Friday, and I think the rest of the divisions get underway on Saturday. So we really are just about to sort of, get our teeth stuck into some more EFL football finally. As always, before we get started, just a reminder, please do like and share this video. Subscribe to Football League World TV on YouTube and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Well, obviously, we're going to be looking ahead to the new season, Henry, but before we sort of get started on that, I just wanted to, take a chance to look back at the 2020-21 campaign. Obviously, a disappointing one in the sense of where Ipswich would have hoped to be at the start at last summer with all that money spent and everything like that. But am I right in saying sort of a fair bit of positivity given the improvement in performances since Kieran McKenna took charge?
Yeah, you're right there, Ned. The start of the season compounded with Cook going fairly quickly or fairly swiftly before Christmas was pretty big. And it's a tough one because last season, 19 in, 22 out, wages bill completely stripped back. You think with those signings, you think we should be in with the playoffs. But again, after the start, it wasn't great, of course. And then by the end of the season, we were really kicking on and playoffs looked like potential. And the end of season points in most seasons would have likely got us into 6th or 5th position. So overall, not ideal. But again, I think you can take the positives, like you said there, Ned.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly if you were going to miss out on the playoffs, as you say, only really because it was such a competitive year in League Two, definitely a bit better to sort of finish the season strongly rather than start it in that way. Looking ahead to the new season, then obviously McKenna's first full campaign at the helm after replacing Paul Cook. Is it unfair to say, do you think promotion or bust seems perhaps a little bit unfair, but do you think reaching the playoffs on its own constitutes enough?
I think at a minimum, I think playoffs has to be the case. I think you've got three elements, three moving parts to this. One, you have a very good young manager in Kieran McKenna who looks to or wants to create the quick success to show his credentials. You've then got owners that will most likely want promotion this year. You've seen in some of the figures that have come out how much they've kind of sort of backdated and offset the debt that they put into the club. So again, there's two moving parts, and you can't see them, the owners themselves, staying around for too long if we're a mid-table, mediocre League One side.
Yeah.
And then you've got the players. They won't want to be playing in League One for the rest of their careers. They'll want to move on and develop and sort of gain that experience up the ladder. So you like some Morsey, Burns, Wolfenden, Edmondson, Walton, Ladapo, Harness, all will want to be playing Championship football in the near distant future. And if Town don't get there, then most likely they'll go as well. And another rebuild will have to happen. And we saw that didn't really work that well in the summer last time. So those three moving parts, I think playoffs, I think at a minimum, but they've got to make the season count.
Yeah. I mean, staying sort of with the off the pitch stuff, we talked briefly before sort of the start when we were planning this about the infrastructure improvements. I think you were saying, a new big screen, new dugouts at the Town Open Day. Though that sort of progress, do you think that contributes to the sort of positive feeling heading into the new season?
100%. The club is definitely back in good hands. It's got the right people behind the scenes. The training ground's getting better. The medical equipment, all that type of stuff. The stuff that fans don't really see unless they're told. That is all getting better, and there's progress on pitch, like you're saying, dugouts, the big screen, advertising boards around side, just to make the club feel a bit more Championship-esque, or a bit more quality. Like the stadium's like big for League One, but it hasn't been looked after at all for the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
You've then got, like I say, the training ground hasn't been improved for the last 10 years. We had porter cabins as basically physiotherapy rooms. Like that doesn't help players recover and all that type of stuff. So previously we weren't helping ourselves off the pitch the way we should be doing for the size of our club, as well as having these open days, which you've seen queues of people waiting to get pictures and look at an open training session that the club are providing. And they're doing more with the Ipswich Town Foundation. So again, really getting back into the community, making Ipswich a community club like it was previously and like it hasn't been for the last, like I said, 10 to 15 years, where it's really been out of touch.
Yeah, I mean, let's move on to the transfer window then, Henry. Obviously, last summer was as we talked about, so much squad turnover. Ipswich, had to have been the busiest club in the EFL in that sense. I think it was at 19 new signings. A slower start. What do you put that down to? Do you think it's Mark Ashton and co, sort of changing their approach slightly? Or do you think it's a reflection that this is a stronger squad and there was less, they didn't feel they need to sort of tear the heart out of that squad and rebuild it? Or do you think it's a sort of combination of the two?
Maybe a combination, a hybrid of the two you just mentioned there. I think last year, the foundations had to be set. I think with like I said, losing 22, with losing the likes of Chambers, Skuse, those types of guys who have been there for 8 years or so, a long time for a football club, I think is going to take some sort of upheaval. The demolition man, as Cook called himself. I think he had to do something to change the ethos that was going around the club. I think he did that. I don't think it worked out well. You can see he's now at Chesterfield. I don't think it went that well for him, but I think that had to happen.
Yeah.
Luckily enough for us, it hasn't had to happen this time round. So he's got the foundation there. You've got the spine of the squad. We've got Walton, Edmondson, Wolfenden, Morsey, and then you've got the attackers that you can bring in. But that spine of the squad, that 4-5, is there to be set. And then you think you can build around that. So I think the purpose of this transfer window, if I can get into McKenna's or Ashton's brain, I think this will be about adding quality and a bit of depth to what we already have got. I think sometimes last season we looked a bit one-dimensional. If teams tried to bully us off the pitch, we didn't really have a response. But I think this year, we'll go into the signings, but I think they're adding to our depth and adding to like those elements of quality in the final third that we were lacking last season.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you say, we're going to touch on those signings next. But just a reminder to anyone watching, EFL fans, Ipswich Town fans, let us know sort of your thoughts on Ipswich, where you think they'll finish this season, but also, the signings they've made over the summer and things like that. Well, let's look at the signings then, Henry. We'll start in defence. Greg Lee signed on a free from Morecambe to bolster the options at left back. You see that as a good signing, and do you think, obviously, Leif Davis is someone that's been linked from Leeds? If he doesn't join, that's now looks in doubt given the Leeds' injury issues, do you think Lee on his own with the likes of Penny there, is that enough depth?
Well, I'll start with Lee as a signing in himself. You'll see a repetition of what I say in terms of these signings, the style of signing that McKenna has made this summer. Lee's quick, strong, decent on the ball, good in the air, versatile across the back three and the left wing back position. Got league experience, adds to what we already have, and on a free. So I think that in itself, just taking that, is a good bit of business. I think if you add Leif Davis to that left wing back position, I think that adds pretty much as you need for a left wing back in League One. He's quality on the ball, more technical. You can see him, if he does arrive, you can see him being utilised in a game where we're more dominant on the ball rather than like an Accrington Stanley who love the ball up in the air. That's where Greg Lee would be perfectly utilised on that as that left wing back for covering the long crosses to the back post. So Leif Davis and Greg Lee together, I think, form a really solid combination. I think, like you just said there, Leeds, with Firpo being injured, they need to sign a replacement. But I can't see Jesse Marsh really using Leif Davis. You've seen him pre-season; he hasn't even been in some squads or been on the bench, and they've had more like a right back playing left wing back, because I don't think he's really suited. I don't think they see him long term being a first team member. And unfortunately, like you said there, I think Penny's time is up with Ipswich.
Yeah.
He may have the best delivery in the club, but I think mentally, physically, and positionally, I think he's a bit too weak. I think sometimes you've seen goals going in at the back post, and unfortunately, that is his fault. So I think Greg Lee definitely. I think if we can't get another technical left wing back, I think Lee will start nearly every game. But I think if we get a more technical left back, someone like Nicky Cadden, who was rumoured but then went off to Barnsley, I believe, someone like that, like a more technical player, or as that left wing back, I think those two in combination will be a hell of a pairing down the left.
Yes, so you think in that sense, perhaps Ipswich looking for, rather than necessarily a first choice, someone that complements really the athleticism and the characteristics that Greg Lee offers.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And I think we've been rumoured with a guy from the Northern Irish Premier Division this morning, a left wing back scoring goals.
Sure.
So similar to like a Wes Burns, a left-footed Wes Burns, essentially. That's what we're looking for.
Left-footed Wes Burns, I'm sure, is the dream of all Ipswich fans. Let's move forward into midfield. Then Don Ball, another free agent signing. And I imagine you're going to give me a similar sort of, spiel, perhaps a bit harsh, but similar description when I ask you now your thoughts on Don Ball, what he offers and whether you think he starts.
Absolutely. Again, I don't want to sound boring, but again, he's strong, versatile in the middle, workhorse, does what others may not want to do. He also adds just the physical height to our midfield, which we've been lacking sometimes. And like I said, in games when it gets a bit physical and midfielders start to battle, I think Don Ball will be really useful alongside Morsey in that centre of the park. From QPR fan reviews, I've seen they're a bit disappointed to see Ball go, which is always a good sign. If other fans do like him, gives his all 100%, and a fairly no nonsense, but hasn't got an ego with him. It seems like he's fairly happy to play. He might be a bit part player for occasional parts of the season, depending on injuries, all this type of stuff. But I think he accompanies Morsey. I think he may be maybe a Ball / Evans midfield alongside Morsey. I think if we dominate the ball and Evans crossfield sort of delivery, crossfield passes to open up defenses, maybe more utilised. Whereas maybe if we're a bit under the cosh, I think Ball might be used in that way. Or again, if McKenna wants to use a 3-man midfield, a Ball, Morsey and Evans, or a Ball, Morsey and maybe a more ball-playing midfielder might be utilised as well. But I think he adds to that versatility, which is pretty key in a full League One marathon. So again, adds another great option for McKenna.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly, in my eyes, a player that could have stayed at Championship level and stayed with QPR. So certainly a positive pickup there. Into the forward line, then Tyrese Jules joins on loan from Arsenal. Freddie Ladapo on a free transfer from Rotherham, and Marcus Harness signing permanently from Portsmouth. You're happy with those 3 deals and with the forward options now available to McKenna?
I think so. Starting with Tyrese Jules, I think he's an exciting prospect. I think he needs a bit of luck with injuries. He's been very unfortunate in terms of pulling his hamstring or doing his ankle. I think Arteta quite likes him. I think in Arsenal he's considered fairly highly rated. He went on loan. He went on their pre-season tour last year. Scored a few goals out in America. So I think he's fairly highly rated. I think he's definitely gifted and he's got the ability. I think he needs a run of games. And I think he needs a bit of love, a bit of TLC from McKenna to really nurture him back to happy to be like a starter for a League One side to really push his own career going forward. So I think he fits that McKenna mold, quick, agile, off the ball, decent, very good on the ball. His link-up plays work is good, and he is versatile across that, either up top or across that front 3 behind the striker. So I hope his injuries don't ruin his chance with Town. Ladapo, again, interesting character, strong, quick, decent in the air and off the ball, can lead the line on his own, which is important for Town. Another free transfer, but just mentioned there his character. Rotherham fans mentioned his attitude and his behaviour. I think again, not knowing the whole situation, this is all I've got no idea myself. But from reading opinions across the page, it felt like that he may have thought the club weren't supporting him when he asked to move on. I think it's not great to hear a striker wants to leave or someone, your top goal scorer, wants to leave. But to hold them back, I think you maybe feel you're not suited to that club anymore. So hopefully under Ipswich and McKenna and his staff, we can really get him playing and using that like sort of willing to win attitude, putting it onto the pitch and making our like strike force and him being the focal of it. That could be useful. So I'd rate him sort of like an 8 out of 10 signing at the moment. I hope he proves me right. And then Harness, the last one, adds to more versatility again. Like I keep repeating myself, but McKenna is signing these players that are not just a one-trick pony. Hopefully, they'll be able to play. He again can play across that front three, across from the right with Portsmouth. But again, I saw against Millwall at the weekend, he started on the left. So again, he can operate in those three different areas: quick, agile, good with the ball to his feet. Drops into holes, drops into pockets, allowing more space for a left wing back to go round him, or in the right wing back to go round him. Pompey fans, I have seen that they've said his end product is quite wasteful. I see that, but I raised them Burns at Fleetwood, probably even more wasteful than Harness would be, scoring 30 goals in 3 seasons for a team. I don't think Burns got anywhere near those numbers. And we saw what Burns did at the back end of last year, 13 goals, 10 plus assists, sort of learned to keep his composure in the final third, and then his quality and ability to strike through the ball shone through. So I think maybe with a bit of coaching from McKenna and his staff, I think Harness can really utilise or bolster those numbers that he got last year. And I hope to see him a success in a Town shirt. And again, I'd give him a 7.5 out of 10 rating, just knocking off the 0.5 because we had to pay £600,000 for him. Whereas Adapo and those other guys are all freebies, so less risk, supposedly. But I think all in all, that front line, strong. I think there may be 1 or 2 more additions coming. I think there may be one other strike, and I think there will maybe another central attacking midfielder coming as well. Fingers crossed.
Fantastic. Well, we talked about additions. Let's look at a few of the sort of high-profile departures. It's up top, really, that the big names have been moved on. In James Norwood leaving to join Barnsley on a free, he was released, of course, and Joe Pigott loaned out to Portsmouth. Right decisions on both for you, Henry?
100%. I think time for Norwood to go. James Norwood, he's a bit of a Marmite character. I really liked him personally. He gave his all no matter what. Whenever he played with a tear in his hamstring a lot of the time, supposedly, and he always scored goals. I think a goal every 180 minutes, a goal every other game, basically, which is a pretty good record for a team. Yeah. 1 under Lambert, who didn't really create chances, 2 under a Cook side that couldn't defend to save their lives, and then 3 under McKenna, who was very possession-based football, and Norwood was more of a Joe Garner. You attack, you challenge with your defenders, your centre backs, and you see where that can get you. Sort of a more direct style of football. So in under those 3 managers, he didn't really have one that's completely suited his style, like it was under Tranmere, where the game was focused under what Norwood could do, and he did really well. Personally, I think. I just hope he doesn't score against us at Barnsley. And I think some idiots in the crowd are probably going to boo him. And I think it'll make him play better as well. So I think we should give him a bit of respect, start giving him a clap before he starts playing. I think he'll go soft on us. But it's also good to have him off our wage book as well, because I think he was a fairly high earner the way we got him in from Tranmere 2 or 3 seasons ago now.
Yeah.
In terms of Pigott, it was his big move last year. Pigott and maybe Scott Fraser were our 2 big moves. A guy that scored 20 goals and a playmaker that assisted a fair few season before. And unfortunately, both of them didn't work out. Fraser left in January, going to Charlton, hasn't really hit the road with them. And Pigott's obviously gone on to Pompey as part of this Harness move. I don't think it was actually completely related to it, but I think it must have helped. One going one way, one in the other. Looks like a good lad. Great character in the dressing room. He did some sort of we have these coffee chats that Town produce, and I think he looked like an interesting, funny character.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, just didn't work out for him. When he got his chances, didn't really take them. I don't think McKenna's style of football really suited Norwood. I don't think it suited Piggott in terms of wanting to run the channels, wanting to link up play, move the ball a bit quicker. Piggott's more of a 6-yard box man. And I think it may be suited to Pompey, and I hope he does well again. There's no ill feeling towards him. But hopefully he doesn't send Pompey up getting 30 goals. That would be pretty devastating. But I think getting Harness back softens the blow, if there ever was a blow, in losing a guy that scored 4 goals, maybe in the league, 5 goals in the league.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think 2 good departures there.
Yeah, you talked about you feel we might see sort of more another striker join, perhaps a sort of attacking midfield and maybe winger, sort of someone versatile that can play those roles. Do you expect that we're heading towards the end of July now? Do you expect that last month of the window to be a busy one for Ipswich? What other areas do you think that the club will look at?
I hope it's not too busy, because last time we had too many players come in. We had Morsey and Walton come in so late on that basically meant our season didn't really start until about 6 weeks into last campaign. I definitely think there's going to be a strike. I think there's a guy, George Hurst from Leicester, who was on loan at Portsmouth last year, being rumoured a fair amount. But again, it's all speculation at the moment. Like I said, there's a couple other rumours from teams in players from Northern Ireland Premier Division, who maybe fit a wage bill. McKenna is from Northern Ireland, grew up in Northern Ireland. Maybe he still has those connections with the clubs that he started with himself. I don't know about that. We've had the Selena saga go on for about 6 or it seems like 2 years. He was supposedly going to Turkey, then turned it down last minute. Supposed to go to Stoke. His work permit wouldn't work because of EU. So he's still in the mix, but I don't think he completely fits what the financially. I don't think Selena will fit this year, unfortunately. But someone of that ilk, we need sort of that magic number 10. Saying that, Shawnee Aluko in pre-season has looked absolute magic. And I think with a full pre-season, or back end of last year, he looked very good. And with a full pre-season, he might be even better. And I think Connor Chaplin will come into his own as well. I just do think if one of those gets injured, or I think one of those hits a bit of rough form, I think we will need someone else to back up those. And maybe another central midfielder, like a Morsey-esque, a box-to-box attacker. But then we do have Raheem Harper, Raheem the Dream. But again, I don't know how much he's going to play. But it does have all the capabilities and potential to fit that role. So I think, to answer your question, Ned, I think 2 to 3, 2 minimum, I'd be happy with. Another striker, maybe another left wing back, or a central attacker midfield. 3, I'd be really happy with that left wing back, attacking midfielder, and a striker. 4, I'd be ecstatic with another central midfielder added to those 3. But I think that would be enough, and I think they need to do it as quickly as possible and not wait till the end of August to get it done.
Well, let's, Henry, look at the sort of start of the schedule. Obviously, gets underway this weekend. Bolton at home, Forest Green Rovers away, MK Dons at home, Burton away, Shrewsbury away, Barnsley at home, Accrington away. Takes you to the end of August. We talked about the slow start last season, and obviously, given how competitive it is, you know, a strong start very helpful, but not a, you know, it's not the be all and end all, because teams do fly up the league, and often that running is what's key, particularly for the top 6. What do you make of those first 6 games? Do you see opportunities there, or you see it as a difficult one? What do you make of it?
I think it's like you said there. I completely agree. I think you can get close to losing out either automatic promotion or maybe not playoffs, but I think you can definitely lose the chance for automatic if you start as poorly as we did last year.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think you can win it. I also agree with that. If you have a balanced start, I don't think you can win it there. But you can definitely really hinder your chances of that automatic top spot. I think within those six games, if you just look at the home games there, you've got Bolton, MK Dons and Barnsley. I'd be looking for a minimum of 5 points. And again, I've tried to be as as realistic as possible, but it's really hard before seeing a ball kicked. I think we should win every game. So I think we've got to get at least one win within those 3 home games.
Yeah.
So I think there's 7 games before the end of August. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think Bolton, hoping for a better performance than the last year's 5-2 loss. That was awful to see. They do have Dion Charles. They're attacking right winger Dapo. And Everett is looking to build on a decent back end of last year. However, I do think a home crowd of, say, 26,000, I think, is rumoured. But we've sold 6,500 season tickets already this season, including the away fans. I think home advantage may be really useful in this first fixture. So I'm hoping for 3 points. And then you've got MK at home. Manning has got a decent side together. Lost Twine, lost a few other centre-backs. Brought in Tuck. But I think they're strong. But I think playing them at the start of the season might be a good thing before they're up and running. And then you've got Barnsley, who lost Morris and Woodrow, but then I've got Norwood in to replace them. Again, quality is slightly different there. Again, it might be useful to be playing them at the start of the season rather than the back end where they're really kicking into form. So again, 5 points at a minimum. Then looking at away fixtures, again, it was really tough to not be completely ridiculous here. A minimum of 7 points. I think at least 2 wins in these. Burton, I think, should be a must win. I've never rated them, but I've seen them when we've gone up to there beforehand. It's not as easy as you think. Yeah. And then you've got Forest Green, obviously newly promoted. They've lost the likes of Cadden, lost their right wing back, of course, gone to Bristol, like you said earlier. I may be happy with a point there. Shrewsbury away might be difficult as well. They've made some solid signings. They could be a dark horse this year, I think, Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
And I'd be happy with a point there. Where Accrington, God, I hope we beat Accrington. I hate them so much. They've lost their talisman up top in Colby Bishop. And they're hit and hope sort of football. Hopefully we can outplay them on the park. And again, we'll play them at a good time of the year, so there'll still be grass on the pitch. It won't be a mud bath like it normally is up there. So I'm hoping for 3 points. Overall, I'd say 12 points. Like I said, at a minimum, 12 points. But I really do think we could push on 15, 18. I'd be really happy with 18, but 12 at a minimum, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. You certainly say coming out of those 18 or 15 points would be a statement of intent for Ipswich. Well then, Henry, according to the bookies, Ipswich second favourites to go up at 13-8. But what about your predictions for the season ahead? Do you think this is the year that Kieran McKenna gets Ipswich promoted to the Championship?
We've had our chapter, we've had new era, we've had a new dawn, we've had all the hashtags you need as a club trying to advertise this new beginning for Ipswich.
Yeah.
So dear God, I do hope it's a bit better than the last 4 years. Being second favourites is probably a bit of a surprise. The bookies normally have us as favourites before the season starts. So that's actually probably a good thing. I think this is maybe the most confident I am in the management.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of, I've seen a lot of square pegs filled with square holes. Like I've been saying, that people are agile, they're fast, they're fit, they're strong, and they can sort of cope with the different scales of football that are in League One. Whereas Championship, maybe it's more possession-based and people aren't more helter-skelter football. Whereas League One, you really do get those shifts in style of football. I think fans I'm maybe talking for everyone, not be correct, but optimism is fairly high. However, you've got to caveat that with what we've seen over 4 seasons in League One, or 3 seasons coming up to 4. And what you've got to, expectations aren't excessive. I don't think we're thinking 100 points, 100 goals quite yet. But what we're thinking is, whereas I've seen online, Derby and Sheffield Wednesday fans thinking it'll be a cruise. Going to Morecambe away or going to Forest Green away, the teams do not lie down and your 3 points are there, the given. It's a lot harder and it's a lot more graft. And I think the players that he's brought in, McKenna has, I think make us more suited to being more adaptable ball, more fighting fit with these teams. I think second favourites to go up might be a push, but I'm quite happy to be the second favourite, not the most favourite. And I'm happy to take second position at the end of the season as well.
Absolutely. Well, certainly plenty of positivity and some positivity in the comments as well. Will Smith saying Ipswich for top 2. Marvin Lee saying, I think we can get in top 6. Top 2 depends on the start, as you sort of touched upon, Henry. EJ Norris saying, as an Ipswich fan, I'd be happy with top 6 as long as we get promoted. He wants 2 more signings. And Marvin Lee sort of saying similar. He says we can only have 22 players. I understand we have 21, so 1 to 2 max, unless it's below 21 or someone leaves. Well, Henry, if I had to press you right now for a prediction of league position, and I promise we won't clip this and bring it back to the year. But where do you see, everything considered, as we've said it's before, balls being kicked? Where does your head and your heart say?
Oh, Christ. So fearing we'll fall just short of playoffs again, and then everyone leaves and the club's in a mess. That's my worst fear right now as an Ipswich fan. And going up from that, I believe we'll get top 6, and I've got hope and the optimism is there for top 6. And what I've seen last year, the back end of last year, the football we played under McKenna was by far superior to what I've seen in Ipswich for the last 4 or 5 years. As a season ticket holder, some of the years, back end of McCarthy, Lambert years, Cook, small tenure was quite awful. So I think what we saw under McKenna right at the back end, and with the players that he's had a full summer, a full pre-season, all the training at Loughborough and all this type of stuff, my optimism is playoffs. If I really got pushed, I would love us to be top 2 because I wouldn't have to worry about being in the playoffs and getting stuck with Wickham, High Ball and the Car Park FC. I wouldn't want to be facing Wickham. So if you pressed me, I'd say 4th.
Sure.
After a beer, I'd probably say top 2.
Fantastic. Well, certainly plenty of positivity then for Ipswich fans. Well, that's everything from me and Henry on Football League World TV today, but there's still plenty to come on the channel. At 4 p.m, Sam Rourke will be your host for the EFL Transfer Zone. And then at 7:30, Ben Wignall will be presenting the Derby Fans Voice shows. So certainly don't miss those 2 because there's plenty of great stuff on there. That seems to me to say thanks, Henry, and thanks everyone for watching.